The rain stopped about an hour ago, that you would not necessarily know it from how the garden still sounds. Drips falling from leaf to leaf, slow and irregular, the gutters still finishing their quiet work, everything outside holding on to the rain just a little longer than the sky itself seems to need to. There is a small stream at the bottom of the lane near my house, usually no more than a trickle, easy to step over without thinking twice. But after rain like this, proper rain, the kind that falls steadily for most of an afternoon, that little stream changes completely. I want to go and see it now, while it is still full and lively from everything the sky has just given it. Come with me, if you like. Boots on, an old jacket that does not mind getting a little damp, and nowhere in particular to be for the next hour or so. Just a short walk down to the stream to watch what the rain has done. Stepping outside, the air feels completely different than it did this morning. Cooler, certainly, but also somehow heavier, fuller, carrying that particular smell that only seems to exist right after rain, something between wet earth and crushed green leaves, and something almost mineral underneath it all. There is a word for that distinctive scent that rises from the ground after rain falls on dry earth. Petrichor. 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 Petrichor describes that specific, almost unmistakable smell, earthy and clean at the same time, released when rain hits soil and certain plants after a dry spell. Scientists actually have a fairly detailed explanation for it, something to do with oils released by plants and a compound produced by bacteria. But honestly, knowing the chemistry has never once made the smell itself any less lovely. The whole garden is full of petrichor right now, thick and unmistakable with every step. You can say, "I love the smell of petrichor after a summer storm," or "the petrichor was so strong you could smell it from indoors." Petrichor, the earth's particular way of thanking the rain. I walk down the garden path, careful of a few slippery patches where moss has gathered along the stones, past the last of the flower beds, heavy-headed now, several blooms bent low under the weight of so much water, not damaged, just temporarily humbled by it, the way anything soft and growing tends to be after real rain. There is a small wooden gate at the end of the garden, the same one I've mentioned before on other walks, and beyond it a narrow lane leading down towards the stream. The lane itself is still properly wet, not flooded, just thoroughly soaked, every loose stone and rut filled with small temporary pools. There is a word for a small temporary pool of water, especially one that collects after rain on a path or road. Puddle. 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 A puddle is a small pool of water, usually quite shallow, formed when rain collects in a dip or hollow in the ground, in a road, a path, a field, almost anywhere the ground is not quite level. The lane is scattered with puddles right now, each one a small dark mirror holding a perfect upside-down slice of the grey sky above. I step carefully around the larger ones, though I admit some small part of me still wants to stamp straight through them the way I would have done without a second thought as a child. You can say, there was a large puddle right in the middle of the road, or the children loved jumping in puddles after the rain. Puddle, a tiny temporary lake waiting patiently to dry or to be jumped in first. The lane bends gently to the left, following the slope of the land downward, and I can hear the stream now before I can properly see it, a sound quite different from its usual quiet trickle, something fuller, faster, almost urgent, tumbling over itself in its hurry to get somewhere. There is a word for the sound and motion of water moving quickly and with some force. Rush. R-U-S-H. Rush. To rush, when we talk about water, means to move quickly and with some force, very different from water that simply drifts or trickles along slowly. The stream is properly rushing now, swelling with all the rain it has just received, moving with a kind of urgency it almost never has on ordinary drier days. Closer to the lane itself, I notice something else the rain has left behind, a narrow channel at the very edge of the path, usually completely dry, now carrying its own small, busy current of water down towards the stream below. Not the stream itself, just a temporary helper, formed entirely by the rain finding the quickest route downhill it possibly can.
There is a word for water flowing over the surface of the ground, especially after rain, rather than soaking into the soil or following an established stream bed. Runoff. R-U-N-O-F-F. Runoff. Runoff describes water that moves across the surface of the land, usually rainwater that the ground has not managed to absorb quickly enough, gathering instead into small channels and rivulets as it makes its way toward a larger stream, ditch, or drain. This little channel beside the lane is pure runoff, water that fell on the higher fields above and simply could not soak in fast enough, so instead it gathers here, in this narrow temporary groove, hurrying down to join the main stream below. You can say runoff from the fields had turned the lane into a small river, or heavy runoff after the storm caused some minor flooding. Runoff. Water taking the only path the ground would let it have. I reach the little wooden footbridge that crosses the stream, the same crossing I use almost every day without a second thought, and lean against the rail for a moment, simply looking down. What is usually a shallow, clear little stream, barely covering the smooth stones at its bed, is now a proper, busy little river, noticeably higher, definitely faster, the water itself a soft, cloudy brown, rather than its usual clear, pale color. There is a word for water that has become cloudy or unclear, often because it is carrying mud or sediment along with it. Murky. M-U-R-K-Y. Murky. Water, briefly confused, carrying more than it usually does. Standing on the bridge, I notice something else too, something I always find quietly fascinating after rain like this. The stream is not just higher and faster, it has actually spread just slightly beyond its usual narrow channel, soaking into the grass along both banks a little further than normal. There is a word for the edge of a river or stream, the strip of land running directly alongside the water. Bank. B-A-N-K. Bank. A bank, in this sense, is the raised land along the side of a river or stream, usually covered in grass, sometimes with trees or reeds growing right at the water's edge. The banks here are looking distinctly soggier than usual today, the grass flattened in places, almost glistening, clearly spending the last hour or two being gently, persistently lapped at by water that usually keeps a more respectful distance. You can say, we sat on the riverbank and watched the water go by, or the flood had washed away part of the bank. Bank. The quiet border between water and everything else. I climb down carefully from the bridge, following a narrow, slightly slippery path along the bank itself, wanting a closer look at the water without actually getting too close to it. A little further along, the stream narrows slightly and drops over a small ledge of stone, something so gentle in normal weather that it barely makes a sound at all. Today it is putting on rather more of a show. There is a word for a small waterfall, especially a short, gentle drop in a stream or river. Cascade. 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 A cascade is a small waterfall, water falling in a short, stepped or tumbling way over rocks or a ledge, usually smaller and gentler than what we would properly call a waterfall. This little stream has a proper cascade right now, white, frothy water tumbling busily over the stone ledge, far more energetic than its usual quiet slip over the same spot, catching what little light there is and turning it briefly into something almost silver. You can say, a small cascade tumbled down the rocks beside the path, or we stopped to admire the cascade after the rain. Cascade, a waterfall's smaller, gentler cousin. Just past the cascade, the stream widens slightly into a calmer pool before continuing on its way, and here, finally, I can see the water doing something I always enjoy watching. Little circles of movement, forming and spinning gently where the current meets a half-submerged branch, and then unraveling again as the water carries on past it. There is a word for that small circular movement water makes when its flow is disturbed by something in its path. We have spoken of this word before on another walk. Eddy. E-D-D-Y. Eddy. An eddy is a small, swirling movement of water formed when the main current is interrupted by an obstacle, a stone, a branch, the edge of a bank. This pool is full of small eddies today, each one spinning gently for a moment around a fallen twig or a half-buried stone, before being pulled back, eventually, into the main flow heading downstream. There is something almost hypnotic about watching them, each little eddy briefly its own small, separate world, before rejoining everything else. You can say, leaves spun slowly in an eddy near the bank, or the canoe briefly got caught in an eddy. Eddy, a small swirl, water briefly changing its mind before remembering where it was going. I find a reasonably dry spot on a large flat stone near the pool, close enough to watch the water properly, far enough to stay dry myself, and simply sit for a while, listening. The rush of the cascade just behind me, the steadier, fuller sound of the main current beyond the pool. Somewhere above, a few last drops still falling from wet branches, landing every few seconds with a small, soft sound on the leaves below. There is a word for that gentle, repeated tapping sound, like drops falling steadily from somewhere above. Patter. P-A-T-T-E-R. Patter. Patter describes a quick, light, repeated tapping sound, often made by rain, or in this case, by drops continuing to fall from leaves and branches even after the rain itself has properly stopped. There is a soft patter happening all around me right now, not from the sky directly, but from the trees themselves, still slowly releasing everything they caught during the storm, drop by drop, leaf by leaf, in their own unhurried time. You can say, I could hear the patter of rain on the roof, or drops continued to patter down from the trees long after the storm passed. Patter, the rain's quiet afterthought. Further along the bank, where the water has clearly risen and then begun to settle back down again, I notice a thin line of leaves, small twigs, and bits of grass caught and left behind right at the edge of how high the water reached. A small temporary record of exactly how far the stream swelled before slowly beginning to shrink back toward its usual size. There is a word for that kind of debris, things like leaves, sticks, and other small material left behind by moving water. Driftwood is the word for the larger pieces, mostly wood, but for this finer mixed material left along a bank or shoreline, we often simply say flotsam. 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 Flotsam refers to debris or scattered material found floating on water or left behind along a bank or shore after water has receded. This little line of leaves and twigs along the bank is exactly that, flotsam left behind by the stream as it rose, then slowly began to fall again, a thin, scattered border marking the absolute highest point the water managed to reach today. You can say, flotsam was scattered along the riverbank after the flood, or we found some interesting flotsam washed up on the beach. Flotsam, small evidence left behind of water that has already moved on. I want to talk to you for a moment now, directly, sitting here on this stone beside the swollen stream, about change and about how quickly it can happen, and how quickly, just as importantly, things can return to how they were before. This stream, an hour or two ago, looked nothing like this. Quiet, clear, barely worth a second glance most days, and tomorrow, or perhaps the day after, it will likely look exactly like that again, calm and clear, the murkiness settled, the level dropped, the rush returned to its usual gentle trickle, almost as though none of this ever happened at all. I think there is something quietly reassuring in that. Not that change does not matter. The rain genuinely did something here, moved real earth, carried real material downstream. But that disturbance, even a fairly dramatic one, does not have to be permanent. Water finds its way back to something like balance, given a little time, without needing to force the process at all. There is a word for the natural process of returning to a normal, calm or balanced state after some kind of disturbance. Settle. S-E-T-T-L-E. Settle. To settle means to gradually become calm, stable or still again after a period of movement, disturbance or change. We use it for dust, for arguments, for feelings, and certainly for water like this. The stream will settle, the murkiness will clear, the level will drop, the rush will return to its usual gentle trickle, not because anyone forces it to, but simply because that is what water, given time, naturally tends to do. You can say, give it a few days, things will settle, or the dust eventually settled after the renovation. Settle, the quiet return to something calmer than before. I think too about how a stream like this never really goes backward to exactly the way it was. Some stones will have shifted slightly, just a little where the current pushed hardest. A little soil will have moved on, carried somewhere further downstream. The bank itself, in small, mostly invisible ways, will be subtly different than it was yesterday. Settled, yes, but not identical. Just gently, slightly reshaped by everything that just passed through it. I get up eventually from the flat stone, my legs slightly stiff from sitting still so long in the cool, damp air, and continue following the bank a little further downstream,
curious to see how the stream looks as it widens slightly further along, where I know it eventually meets the small river that runs along the edge of the village. The path along the bank here is narrower, more overgrown, clearly less walked than the lane I came down on. Tall, wet grass brushes against my legs with every step, soaking the bottom of my trousers almost immediately, though I find oddly that I do not mind this nearly as much as I probably should. There is a word for grass or plants bent over and weighed down, usually by water or wind. Sodden is one word for this, meaning thoroughly soaked through with water. Sodden. S-O-D-D-E-N. Sodden. Sodden describes something completely soaked, heavy and saturated with water, far beyond simply damp or wet. The grass along this path is properly sodden right now, bent low under its own waterlogged weight, and by the time I reach the wider section of stream ahead, my boots, I notice, are looking rather sodden themselves. You can say, the ground was sodden after days of rain, or my shoes were completely sodden by the time I got home. Sodden. Thoroughly, unmistakably wet. The stream widens noticeably here, the banks pulling further apart, the water slowing slightly as it spreads across a broader channel. A small wooden jetty, really just a few old planks, reaches a short way out over the water, built, I think, mostly for children to fish from on calmer summer days. Today, the water laps almost up to its edge, far higher than I have ever seen it reach before. There is a word for the gentle, repeated motion of water moving against something, like a shore, a bank, or the side of a boat. Lap. L-A-P. Lap. To lap, when we talk about water, means to move against something gently and repeatedly, with a soft, rhythmic sound, very different from the rush and tumble back at the Cascade. The water here laps gently at the wooden jetty, a slow, steady, almost soothing rhythm, each small wave arriving, touching the wood, then quietly withdrawing again, over and over, patient in a way the rushing water further upstream definitely was not. You can say, the waves lapped gently against the side of the boat, or I could hear the water lapping at the shore all night. Lap, water's softest, most patient voice. Somewhere behind me, from a tangle of wet bushes along the bank, I hear the first proper birdsong of the whole walk, a single, bright, clear burst of sound, cutting cleanly through the steady noise of the water. Birds tend to stay quiet during heavy rain, I have noticed, sheltering somewhere dry, waiting it out, and this is usually one of the very first signs that a storm has properly passed. There is a word for a quick, high, fluttering burst of birdsong, notes rising and falling rapidly, almost vibrating, rather than held steady and long. Trill. T-R-I-L-L. Trill. A trill is exactly that, a quick, high, fluttering sound, most often used to describe a particular kind of birdsong. That first bird I heard let out a proper trill, sharp and bright and almost cheerful, as good a sign as any that the worst of the weather has genuinely moved on. A few moments later, another answers it further along the bank, and then another, until the whole stretch of hedgerow seems to be slowly waking back up around me. You can say, a blackbird's trill rang out across the garden, or I love the trill of birdsong after rain. Trill, the sound of something small deciding it is safe to sing again. I stand on the jetty for a while, watching the water move past beneath me, still murky, still noticeably higher than usual, but undeniably calmer here than it was further upstream. A few leaves drift slowly past on the surface, caught briefly in a small eddy near one of the wooden posts, before being released again, carried onward, towards wherever this little stream is eventually heading. The light has been changing slowly this whole time, I realize, the heavy grey of earlier beginning to thin and soften, a faint warmth creeping in at the edges of the clouds now, low in the sky where the sun is clearly trying, gently, to find its way back through.
There is a word for clouds beginning to break apart and separate, often revealing patches of clear sky or sun behind them. Clear, used as a verb here, simply means to become free of clouds or rain, but there is a slightly more specific word too. Brighten. B-R-I-G-H-T-E-N. Brighten. To brighten means to become lighter, clearer, more full of light, often used for skies, weather, or moods. The sky is properly brightening now, the heaviest grey clouds beginning to thin and separate, pale gold light spreading slowly along the horizon where the sun has finally found a gap to slip through. The whole stream seems to brighten along with it, murky water catching small flashes of that new low gold light in a way it simply could not under all that earlier grey. You can say, the sky began to brighten after the storm passed, or her mood brightened as soon as the sun came out. Brighten. Light, quietly returning. I begin making my way back along the bank, retracing my steps past the jetty, the wider pool, the small cascade, the stream noticeably louder in places than it was just an hour ago, having had a little more time now to gather everything the rain sent down into it. But already, even in this short time, I notice the murkiness has lessened slightly, a faint hint of the stream's usual paler color beginning to show through near the shallower edges. There is a word for that gradual process of becoming clear again, light returning to something that was previously clouded or obscured. Clarify is one option, but for water specifically, we more often simply say clear. Clear, used here as a verb. C-L-E-A-R. Clear. To clear, in this sense, means to become free of cloudiness or obstruction, to become transparent or visible again. The water is beginning to clear already in the shallower spots near the bank, the murky brown thinning slightly, allowing the faintest outline of stones beneath to show through once more. It will take longer in the deeper, faster-moving sections, but the process has clearly, quietly, already begun. You can say, the water cleared a few hours after the rain stopped, or the sky cleared just in time for sunset. Clear. Visibility, returning, one quiet moment at a time. I walk back over the little wooden footbridge, the same one I leaned against at the very start of this walk, and paused there again for a moment, looking down one last time. Still rushing, still fuller and faster than usual, but already, unmistakably, beginning its slow journey back toward calm. Before we finish this walk together, I want to give you a few phrases, English for rain, for water, and for that particular quiet kind of patience that comes after a storm. The first phrase, "It's really come down today," used to describe especially heavy rain, often said afterwards, looking back at how much fell. "It's really come down today, look at that stream." A simple, almost admiring way to acknowledge a proper downpour. The second phrase, "It'll settle down by tomorrow," used reassuringly about weather, about water, often about emotions too. Don't worry about the flooding, it'll settle down by tomorrow.
a small, confident promise that things will return in their own time to how they normally are. The third phrase, the sun's trying to come out, said when clouds are beginning to thin and break, sunlight just starting to push through. Look, the sun's trying to come out now. A small, hopeful observation, noticing the very first sign that the weather is beginning to turn. And the fourth phrase, you can really tell it's rained, used when the evidence of recent rain is obvious all around you. Puddles, mud, swollen streams, dripping leaves. You can really tell it's rained. Everything's soaked. A simple, plain observation stating something that hardly needs explaining at all. The words from this walk: Petrichor, puddle, rush, runoff, murky, bank, cascade, eddy, patter, flotsam, settle, sodden, lap, trill, brighten, clear. Words for rain, for water, and for everything a small stream remembers just for a little while before letting it go again. The phrases, it's really come down today, it'll settle down by tomorrow, the sun's trying to come out, you can really tell it's rained. I walk slowly back up the lane toward the garden gate, the puddles still scattered across the path, though already, I think, just slightly smaller than they were an hour ago, the lowering sun catching them now in soft flashes of gold as I pass. My boots are properly soaked through by this point, my trousers damp to the knee, and I find, walking back, that I do not mind any of it in the slightest. There is something I keep returning to on walks like this, how a single afternoon of rain can completely transform a small familiar stream, make it loud, urgent, cloudy, almost unrecognizable for a little while, and then, just as completely, let it return to exactly what it always was. Not erased, not unchanged either, not quite, just settled, gently, back into itself. I reach the garden gate as the light continues to soften and gold around me, the last grey clouds breaking apart properly now, scattered thin and pale across a sky slowly turning toward evening. Behind me, faintly, I can still just hear the stream, still busy, still working its way back to quiet in its own unhurried time. Wherever you are listening from tonight, I hope you find, somewhere in your own life, a little patience for whatever feels murky or swollen or unsettled right now. Water always finds its way back to calm. Given enough time, so, I think, does almost everything else. Until next time, take care of yourself, and if you can, sometime soon, after the next rain falls near you, go and find a small stream, or a stretch of wet pavement, or even just a puddle outside your own door, and notice properly everything the rain left behind. Good night, for now. May your own small stream, wherever it is, settle gently tonight, just as it always, eventually, finds its way to do.